Well, I just want to go over a few things. I'm going to let this play all the way through. It's about 3 minutes, and then I want to talk about some things. So let's go.
Humanoid Atlas now works autonomously on Hyundai's factory in Georgia.
Getting ready for work.
Whoa.
Meet
That's like out of Bloodborne or some shit.
Atlas, a 5'9", 200-pound AI-powered humanoid created by Boston Dynamics.
Atlas just pivots on his core.
Damn.
He can move in ways that we can only dream
I can't do that.
So why did you design it that way?
There's a couple advantages of being able to continuously rotate joints. So one is that the robot's not really limited in its range of motion.
Atlas was a bulky hydraulic robot that could run and jump.
He's like a droid from fucking Star Wars.
Back then, Atlas relied on algorithms written
Xbox.
by engineers.
Now
When
they're
we
using
dropped in
PlayStation.
again this past fall, we saw a new
Look at that.
generation Atlas with a sleek, all-electric body
Damn.
and an
Look at those
AI
legs.
brain powered by NVIDIA's advanced microchips, making Atlas smart enough to pull off hard-to-believe feats autonomously. We saw Atlas skip and run with ease.
What the fuck?
He can do the Macarena. He could do cartwheels. He could dance.
He told us robots today have learned to master moves that until recently were considered a step too far for a machine.
A lot of this has to do with how we're going about programming.
The movement's
these robots
crazy,
now, where
I
it's
know.
More about teaching and demonstrations and machine learning than manual programming.
So this humanoid, this mechanical human, can actually learn.
Yes, and we found that that's actually one of the most effective way to program robots like that.
Give it a
Over
gun.
again.
We're gonna
And
have
actually
robot
do
police
it
officers soon.
without. So why does he only have 3 fingers?
Robot hands are an extremely complex engineering problem. And so when we design hands for Atlas, they don't look exactly like human hands.
There's a
but they
kid in
have
my
a
school
lot
that
of
had hands
the
like
same
that.
capabilities.
We call
Here
him
you can see
ET.
that they can switch between different modes. They can act as if they were a hand.
I'm being
with
serious,
These
by the
3
way.
digits, or this digit can swing around and act more like a thumb.
Oh, this is it throwing the stuff in the box. These are our new slaves. Here's what we do, right? We take people and then we turn people into batteries and then the batteries power the robots. Humans as batteries suck, man. Can't we put them on like a treadmill or something, like a human hamster wheel? The guy's slow. This guy's slow. Okay, well, here's the difference. He doesn't take breaks. He works all day. He doesn't know what a union is. And he doesn't even know what Christmas is. He'll just do the same thing every fucking day forever. People underestimate the difference between a person doing something versus a robot doing it just indefinitely. You know this if you've ever done botting in a video game, by the way. Like, you'll farm something like with like an auto clicker or a bot, and you'll come in the next day and you will have like an unfathomable level of resources. I don't think people understand how much of a huge advantage it is to just infinitely do the exact same task infinitely many times. So yeah, and also it's probably going to get faster too.
All Venezuela experts.
All right. So now, I know it sucks having to look at me, but I want to be able to explain a couple things. That robot does not need health care. That robot does not need shelter. That robot does not need food. That robot does not need a car. That robot does not need any type of assets. What does that robot need? That robot needs, where it probably stands right now, is a little bit of maintenance, software updates, probably a little bit of internet, and power. That's about it. Now, I worked maintenance at a lot of different places, doing a lot of different things. And one thing that I learned is, you know, I was working at a facility, and they're like, hey, I was doing electrical, and they were like, hey, we need to run 480 over to this disconnect, and we're just going to leave it not live, but we're just going to leave it right here for a machine that we're going to implement soon. So we ran conduit, we ran 480, you know, set up all these different things, starters, relays. breakers, whatever the fuck else you need. And I was like, wondering why. A couple months later, they brought in a machine. And me not knowing, we hooked up 480 to this machine, and guess what it was? One of those big ass robot arms. Guess who didn't have a job following that? A person. So all they have to do is just pay for the electricity, and then 3 people lost their jobs. 1 on first shift, 1 on second shift, 1 on third shift. Didn't have to pay that machine health care. All you had to do is just pay for the electricity. So let's say the machine costs, I don't know, $500,000. Okay? Now there is going to be a little bit of cost with the electricity. I understand that. But let's say each of those people were making $60,000 a year. That's 60, 120, 180, $180,000 a year. If that machine runs for 5 years, you get your full return on investment, everything after that straight profit. Just saying. So you get your ROI, return on investment, in 5 years. Now that's going to be a lot of the same things you're going to see with these robots. At first they're going to be relatively expensive. So you're going to have to justify that return on investment within, generally most places like to see it, pretty quick. But a lot of companies look in the long haul, long run, long term of things, especially in industries where things are generally unsafe for a human. So if you have a confined space with the IDLH in danger of life and health atmosphere, and you could implement these robots where a lot of bad things happen, just the lawsuits alone statistically will justify getting one of these robots. Because if somebody dies, and there's SOP, standard operational procedures, and what you have to do if you make one small mistake, or if I went to a steel mill and they wanted me to pretty much demuck this tank, okay, and the tank wasn't ever really maintained since 1993, and I'm like, I know what happens to these type of oils and everything if they sit for a very long time, and after a while they'll start creating H2S, hydrogen sulfide, or whatever the fuck it is. I know at like 50 parts per million, you breathe in that, done, that's it, no more. So take that as you will. And they said, oh yeah, we already sniffed it, everything else. I'm like, cool. Our company has SOP, standard operational procedures, to where we have to verify ourselves. So I went through the whole process, not skipping a beat, checklist, whatever, filling out all the paperwork, whatever, and then I told them, hey, if you guys have it, we require it for emergency response team as a standby. And a lot of the times we will substitute the local fire department for that, but that's neither here nor there. Needless to say, went in, did all the stuff, got supplied air, went and sniffed it, H2S, out the ass in that thing. So, in that industry alone, being able to justify something that doesn't need oxygen to survive, just electricity. Now with that, you would have to implement, which would make the robot even more expensive, you would have to implement some type of intrinsically safe robot, meaning that there's no sparks or any way of it basically producing any type of ignition source for these gases, because if there is a possibility for that, really fucking bad. Because a lot of petrochemical refineries, you can't even bring these in, because there is a small chance that lithium ion battery, I've had one happen to me, to where the back of my phone bulged, and eventually the phone caught on fire. That's why they don't allow those in there. Because if you have that in a unit with any type of gas, bad time. Okay? Especially in these places that produce kerosene, gasoline, jet fuel, all that on the back crack section, and then they store it in huge fucking tanks. Thousands and thousands and thousands of gallons a minute going through these pipes. Bad time. Bad time. Big boom. Okay. So, there's ups and downs with this, but like I'm saying, for that one niche that I was in, these would be absolutely great because you're gonna have to fuck up pretty bad to make like this hydraulic lube oil and hydraulic fluid go boom. You may catch on fire, you know, if the battery in the robot like fucking fires up, but I don't know. There's just pros and cons to everything. But like he said, the police officers becoming robots, I really, really believe that that's going to be a thing in our government. Being artificial intelligence, I believe, will be a thing, because the biggest thing, in my opinion at least, is if you watch a lot of videos regarding these two topics, most of our leadership in power positions that people are in, most of them are narcissistic sociopaths and disingenuous parasites. Okay? So, meaning they have huge egos. Oh yeah. You ever challenge a cop on why he pulled you over and everything? Yeah, that's going to attack his ego immediately. He's going to be like, this person is questioning me? You know what I mean? And if you have the artificial intelligence, you pretty much, it's already programmed with all the SOP, standard operational procedures. One, it's not generally going to make mistakes statistically, and it probably will in certain circumstances, such as that one guy that got arrested in a casino because the artificial intelligence said, hey, this is a 98 or 99% match to this other person. He got arrested. I'm sure he's got a nice fucking settlement and lawsuit coming, but there's going to be that at the beginning. I mean, when we implement all these self-driving cars, you know, like look at Tesla, for example, you know, there has been some accidents. And that's, honestly, you're going to have that at the beginning. Really. So, as far as, you know, being anywhere around these things at the beginning, I would highly suggest trying to avoid it as much as humanly possible until it gets better. This way the likelihood and percentage of you getting hurt and or, you know, the other option, by these things will go down substantially, but still will never be zero. No matter what it is, the chances is never zero. The chances may be very, very low, like winning the lottery or getting hit by lightning, but it will still never be zero. You know what I mean? But yeah, like I said, those things don't need housing. Those the amount of jobs that they're going to take away versus the amount of jobs that they're going to create are going to be crazy, because they're going to take so many more jobs away than you're going to need somebody to maintenance them, program them, you know, network, blah, 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 all this other stuff, yeah. But all those other people that got displaced from their jobs, what are they going to do now? Fill those jobs? But there's not going to be as many to fill as there were taken away, I promise you that. Now, as far as it being a positive, in the long run, yes. Absolutely. Do like, if you look back at when people first started building railroads, do you know how laborious that was? Now we have machines and heavy equipment and whatever else. It's a lot easier and done faster. Okay? And safer, I assume. Probably a lot less deaths go on as well, and all these other things. In the long run, it was better, but these machines, they produce themselves. You don't need a human to run these machines, is essentially what I gathered from that. So, guess who benefits? The corporation that's making them and maintaining them, and the corporation that is using them. And we, the people, are going to lose jobs because of it. And it's all greed. Now, there is a safety aspect to this that, hey, would you rather a human lose their hand in an accident or a robot? Most people would probably say, hey, I would rather the robot. You know? So, I mean, there is that aspect. There's never any full win on anything. So, over, the next decade or so, this will be more beneficial, but where everything sits right now, it's not going to be beneficial for us, the people, because we don't have anything in place such as a safeguard for the millions, maybe hundreds of millions of jobs that are going to be lost. So at that point, you're going to have to implement some type of universal basic income for us people to be able to survive. With that being said, I'm already starting to see like a separation between, just lower class and elites, and that's pretty much mostly all there really is. So essentially, like, if this is implemented, the only cost is going to be pretty much electricity. And if they implement electric cars and whatever else, the only cost is electricity. So if we really buckle down and figure out this electricity shit, then pretty much like all the way from the bottom to the top of any type of goods and services, the only cost will be a little bit of electricity. And if we can get that as close to free as possible, then pretty much every good and service will be as close to free as possible. And our mega corporations and government will just have to subsidize everybody for everything. They're going to be making bukus and bukus of money, or capital, or wealth, or whatever. So they're just going to have to, I mean, they already could do this at this point, but they're just going to have to implement some type of universal basic income because, all the way from, let's say, mining the coal to getting charcoal to the store and everything else is all done by these autonomously. So what's really the need to pay for it? You know what I mean? Somebody's working the GE turbine to autonomously, a robot is, doing maintenance on the facility and all this other stuff, so it's all more or less free because the coal's getting dug up for free, all the way transporting it to the GE turbine that uses the coal to spin the generator to create the electricity. Like, you see what I'm saying? All the way from the ground all the way up is free. What's the point in needing American currency at that point? You know what I mean? Because everything's just done for free. So, eventually, after these robots are mass producing goods and services and whatever else, I don't really see a need for money. Your light bill should be free. They'll give you food, like a subscription kind of, like just, hey, here's, once a week it'll come in, hey, here's like 5-10 pounds of ground beef, some noodles, some fucking whatever else, you know, basic eggs, milk, butter, this, that, the other, and you just get it all for free. Kind of like jail, you know? Give you a couple square meals, there you go, boom, you're good. That's it. If you want to I don't know, buy a video game or something, or maybe some beer this weekend, hey, you can go out and do a couple things, you know, get decent at a little skill or whatever. Some people, like, let's say you're a comedian or something, you go out, you hit the stage for a day or two, you get some extra whatever, or maybe people will trade, hey, I got this, you know, we could trade for this, that, I don't even know, but I just don't, in my mind, I don't know how to explain it, but I just don't see a point in money anymore at that point. The only amount of currency I think that will be pretty much energy. I don't know. And then if you know, I'm going to give you some examples. You know, at that point, when there are millions and or billions of those robots, do you think these are going to be useful anymore? Do you think these are going to be useful anymore? Not really, because if you shoot one of those robots, not sure, but like, is it going to go down, you know? They could plate them pretty good with some steel or whatever. Kevlar or what, I don't know. Line them, carbon fiber. I don't know how bulletproof that is or whatever, but you're going to see people start changing it up, I think. You know, this will deal with, you know, like the human problem, but, you know, generally if there is no money anymore, why even do crime? That's the way I look at it, at least. I don't know. I mean, I don't know why a lot of people do crime in the first place, but I don't know. It's going to change a lot of things, and a lot of views that I'm not even looking at right now. You know, somebody outside the box of where I am is looking at me like, dude, you don't even see a fraction of what's going on. And you're right. I haven't put a shit ton of thought into this, but I'm just saying this is really gonna change things a lot more than you would think it would. And then, you know, as far as if and or when these things do become police officers, which I'm sure instead of using a K9 unit, you know, maybe they're at first, like maybe a year or two from now or whatever, there will be a robot unit. Hey, we're going to send the robot in. You know, kind of like the SWAT team already has their little robots or whatever. Not just a regular police officer with a robot as a partner or whatever. Hey, you go in there, you clear it, we'll come in behind. How does that robot know who's the good guy and who's the bad guy in like a hostage situation? Don't know. But there's going to be a lot of funky things going on, you know? Even as far as, you know, like Uber drivers and everything like that, you know, those things have everything we do. So they could be just driving gasoline-powered cars. Could be. I don't know. Really don't know. It's concerning, but I also think it's really cool. I also think it's pretty dangerous in certain aspects. But with that, you know, you'll have those things with everything. Anything and everything. So we'll just have to kind of weigh it out and see where it goes, but everybody's, you know, I'm not saying that nobody's job's important or whatever, but like the easier jobs that like entry level, most 99% of people can do, those are all gone, baby. All of them. Yep. Next couple years, that's it. You ain't gonna, like, I mean, I'd seen Amazon's pretty much implementing 100%. Like, they're going crazy with robots right now. Yep. And while you're probably thinking to yourself, well, you know, like, for every person you're going to have to replace with one of these robots, because let's say you have 3 shifts, 8 hours. That way you could run 24 hours a day, while one that's probably going to run for 8 hours, charge for 16. So you're going to need 3 robots for 3 people type deal. One's working, whatever, the other 2 are charging. And then once that one's done, boom, the other one comes in, that one's working, this one's finishing charging, and this one's starting charging. And then you just keep the rotation going. Yep. The only cost is energy. One of the robots gets hurt, well, it ain't gonna sue you. And just that alone, to a lot of companies, is like, well, we got a couple lawsuits for a couple, tens of millions. So, hey, that alone. Do you have to have an attorney at your workplace anymore? Not really. At least not in that aspect. Just saying. What about your safety department? Do you still have to have them there? Do you? Because it's not people. See what I'm saying? Do you have to have your human resources department? It's not people. What about medical staff that you have on hand in your facility? Do you have to have them there? What about, like in my field, emergency response team? Do you have to have them there? See what I'm saying? How many jobs is that? But you're gaining somebody that's got to come in and maintain the robots. Huh. And you're losing how many more? Plus the employees that the robots are replacing? See what I'm saying? Maybe I'm just not hitting it at the right angle, and it's going to create even more jobs than it's taken away. Maybe somebody can explain that to me. But in every aspect that I am thinking about it right now and looking at it at, it's just going to take away 100 jobs and just give one job. Or 1,000 jobs and just give one job. You know what I mean? Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.